Let me just update people again. Abigail Spanberger has won the governor's seat in Virginia. Mike Sherrill is on track to do it and has been called in New Jersey. Jay Jones is on track to win the attorney general seat in Virginia, very controversial candidate. Down ballot, a lot of Democratic victories too. Last I've seen on the Twitters, Democrats on track to pick up about a dozen seats in the Virginia House of Delegates tonight. Could be the largest Democratic majority in many decades. We're going to bring in, I can't believe I'm actually doing this introduction now because little Sam would have been shocked by this. We're going to bring in Katie Couric to join the conversation. And I'm reuniting Katie with Liz apparently because you guys are talking already.
Yes. Hi. So good to see you, Sam, and love Liz. So this is fun for me. And, as somebody who's really disturbed by the Trump administration and the things that they've been doing and someone who's been more outspoken than previously in my career about the dangers of a lot of these policies, I am delighted to see that Abigail Spanberger has won in my home state of Virginia. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Katie.
There's Tim Miller, folks.
And really excited about Mikey Sherrill, who I think is just a phenomenal candidate and a phenomenal leader. And I'm glad that Prop 50 has been approved because you got to do something. Democrats can't just sit around if they're doing what they're doing in Texas. And I think Zohran Mamdani, I think Liz was saying this earlier, has really captured the imagination. I know he's made a lot of New York voters verklempt, but having said that, I mean, I think he is so dynamic and what Liz was saying earlier to me, and then also to you, Sam, I disagree that people, I really believe income inequality and affordability is the cornerstone of a lot of the problems in this country, and to address it directly to voters and hopefully to make people's lives easier. As Bernie Sanders told me not long ago, when 1% of the 1% of Americans own more wealth than the bottom 93%, it's just unacceptable. Where did Liz go? Her baby might be.
Oh, no. I let Liz. Liz was texting me.
Liz going, wait. I had a question for Liz.
No. Liz, bring her back. Liz was just going to go get more wine. She said one of the conditions she said she would come on if she was allowed to drink.
Well, I'm glad
we are totally fine with that
because I'm eating mint chip ice cream.
I got a Coca-Cola Classic. I got to behave on weeknights.
I put a little fireball in here, so yeah. No,
I just get a wine. Liz and Katie, I gotta do. Can we just live out and girl power out for a second? There's a lot.
Holy shit! Wait, you're talking to the women about this?
Yeah,
and I don't love to do like the identity politics.
I know you don't. But here's the thing. Some Democratic ladies have had a couple bad elections recently. I don't know if you noticed at the top of the ticket, we had some L's. And there's some, people in my life, liberal women, not me, obviously. I have nothing but faith in women who are like, we might just need to put the dudes up first. But we have got Sherrill, Spanberger, Hashimi. Is there something to be said about the types of campaigns they ran? Or is there, or Liz, are you just going to totally get rid of the identity? Or just you refuse to engage on this? You don't see sex?
Well, I'm glad that you, for once in your life, favor women over men. Let me just say that.
There's a first for everything, Liz.
I don't think that's true of Tim. Is it, Tim?
Well, I'm gay.
In profession and personality.
I went to an all-boys high school.
Sorry.
I have only brothers. I make an exception for you, Katie. Anyway, Liz, let's hear your answer first.
What am I, chop liver over here?
Yeah. Well, we're we
have get to the answer. Good Lord. Where are we going here?
Well, I don't even know, man. But yes, candidate quality matters. And both Mikey and Abigail had different types of backgrounds, right? Mikey, federal law enforcement, they're both, and had been a pilot in the Army, a helicopter pilot in the Army. Abigail had been the CIA, brought down some bad dudes from what I hear, and was endorsed by police unions and ran a different type of campaign, signaling that she's a different type of Democrat. And I think that's why both of them were able to likely overperform Kamala Harris in 2024. And we shouldn't judge candidates just based on superficial characteristics, identity characteristics, because I too shared some of that anxiety. And during, I'm with majority Democrats, right? And we,
Right.
both Abigail and Mikey are majority Democrats. And there was some agita in New Jersey in the primary that a woman candidate might not be the best idea after nominating Kamala. And I'm glad that she is helped shattering that myth.
Well, hell yeah, you
I
should
need
just
to
say,
hold on,
Sam,
hold on. I need to jump in here because we have a little bit of developing news. Zohran Mamdani, according to Decision Desk HQ, is projected to be the next mayor of New York City as of 9:03
6
p.m.
mayors.
So
3 minutes.
They're
3
together.
minutes. Yeah.
I want to get to
He's
Zohran
gonna
next, but
win
Katie,
big.
just do you have any thoughts on that? And I guess in addition to 2 women governors, we got 2 deep state. And as you mentioned, a CIA. So maybe we just need more CIA agents running in the Democratic Party, TBD. Or what do you think? Is there anything? Is there excitement? You've got a lot of women in your audience.
I'm very excited. I have 3 women on my team here jumping around, and listen, they're both incredibly impressive candidates, not incredibly impressive women. They're just incredibly impressive people. And by the way, Mikey was in the Navy, not the Army. Liz, just FYI, she went to the Naval Academy and was a Navy pilot.
I should know that. I'm sorry.
That's
wow.
okay. I won't tell her that you got that wrong. But
facts matter here, Liz.
This is live. This is caped. Yeah.
I do think that there were some stumbles. Liz and I talked about it earlier in Mikey Sherrill's campaign. She almost did a bit of a tiny little Sarah Palin moment, not quite, where she really was stumped when she was asked what her first order of business would be as governor. I'm being hyperbolic here, but it wasn't it wasn't a good moment for her. And but having said that, I think, man, they worked their asses off. They kept their eyes on the prize. I mean, Liz, you tell me. I thought they were both incredibly disciplined candidates. I think sexism, honestly, you guys, it is pervasive. It still exists. Women are judged differently than men, no matter
I agree.
what, and so I think there was inevitably some sexism that infused this campaign, less so in Virginia because both candidates were women.
Right.
Yeah.
But in New Jersey a little bit more so. But I'm excited, and it's about time, that we start electing more strong female leaders. And let's face it, they're better than men. Come on, guys.
And
okay.
Can we just,
Oh, right.
can we
I
just,
have no
can
doubt.
we, hold on. Can
Zero
we address,
objections from here. Yeah,
Can we address the subtle flex from Katie mentioning the Sarah Palin moment? Because she was the one.
I noticed.
She was the one who got the Sarah. Okay. All right.
Actually, well, it does. I would be remiss. Actually, I want to ask you about this, Katie. We're in this weird media moment too, right? Where the networks are. It's hard to sort of qualify what's happening with them, right? But new leadership, seemingly, trying to ingratiate themselves with this White House. People are getting the news in different ways, but they also don't really trust the news as much. I haven't heard you speak to what's happening both at your old home at CBS, but also in general with these corporate networks and how they're reacting and covering this presidency.
Did you have 8 bodyguards at any point, Katie, when you were there? I don't remember. No? Okay.
Are there bodyguards
for Barry? He didn't. I wanted an answer, but he.
I want an answer too. I was just wondering what. I also. I'm curious what you think about the networks.
But listen, it was very different time. I was there from 2006 to 2011. I was telling my friends here that one asked me what was the most exciting presidential race you've ever covered, and of course it was 2008 and Barack Obama, because it was such a historic moment. And listen, I'm disappointed. There's no way around it. This corporate pressure on these journalists is really criminal in my view. I think that we have to be purveyors of the truth, and I think that clearly, I think Nora did a good job when she interviewed Donald Trump, but she didn't call him out on. Yeah, okay. I'd like to hear, Tim, what you have to say. I mean, listen, I think if she had called him out on every single thing he said, it would have just been a massive shit show. And I think that given sort of what she could do, but the idea that Barry Weiss was down there and they were in Mar-a-Lago, honestly, it was a little too cozy for my taste. And I think it's really dangerous. And, listen, I have spoken out, Sam. I wrote something about Sherry Redstone and how just disgusting that this quid pro quo was before the merger, and paying Donald Trump $16 million. And, I was disappointed ABC did the same thing. They should have just, someone told me that they should have just issued an apology immediately, or just a correction, not an apology. I'm sorry, a correction. That it was sexual assault and not rape, or whatever the problem was. But yeah, I think it's actually really worrisome and really upsetting. And I think that's one reason that a huge swath of Americans don't trust mainstream media anymore. I mean, there are a whole bunch of reasons why they don't, but certainly when they know that these corporate overlords are saying, don't piss off the president, how much can they trust their journalists?
I mean, the most ridiculous thing to me is what's happening at that's ridiculous too, but the Pentagon press corps is like,
that is so
it's
insane.
unreal.
That
Laura
is
Loomer's credential now? It's crazy.
Laura Loomer, I was a Pentagon correspondent, and I called David Martin, my former colleague at CBS, probably covered the Pentagon longer than any reporter. And I said, David, can you do an interview? This is so outrageous. And it's just so disgusting that they're making reporters sign this thing that they have to clear their journalism with people at the Pentagon, or they have to have have to, give back their passes. And I love David Martin, but here's an example of corporate ownership. He said, let me ask. And then he came back to me and he said, the Washington bureau chief said I should politely decline.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to leave in 2 seconds.
You need to leave now.
Yes, but I have to read one breaking news alert for Schadenfreude reasons. JD Vance's half brother,
I saw that,
has lost by an overwhelming margin as he tried to become the mayor of Cincinnati. I know Liz is very happy about this one. So
Sam keeps telling me. I just a little behind the scenes, really quick. Sam said that he was going to let me run this period with Katie because me and Katie are friends, and he wasn't going to be involved. And every time I tried to speak, he interrupted me and shut me up. And he was like,
I think it was the other way.
Okay.
Every time you
just so excited that Katie here.
fighting over me.
Tim,
I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Let's get our revenge on Sam. No,
Blah,
Sam,
blah.
you're not leaving yet. You're not leaving yet.
He's
He
gone.
left.
He left.
He said Schadenfreude. It's Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. It's German. Sam.
No,
We need to do Zohran talk.
Freude. Tim.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Katie Couric obviously does. We need to do a little Zohran talk for it. We're going to get in about 5 minutes here. We got the next level coming. JVL and Sarah coming on. But in addition to our girl power victories with Abigail and Mikey, the sex pest is lost. So there's something to that. There's maybe some synergy to that with Andrew Cuomo going down. I want to hear from both of you. Liz first, just because you have a kind of a reputation of being more on the center left in New York and kind of having fought some of the folks on the more left side of the party over various things. You came out for Zohran. You did like a Stanny selfie photo with him earlier this week. I saw on social media. Like what was the Zohran magic for you as maybe not the natural part of his audience in the Democratic Party?
So I've gotten that a lot, right? Why are you for Zohran? Like, why are you, when you're, ideologically maybe a little bit different? But people, I think, sometimes forget I was for the 37-year-old gay mayor of South Bend running for president, right? And I think
he was a Marxist kind of in college.
He was not a Marxist in college. His father was a Gramsci scholar. What are you talking about?
Gramsci's pretty left.
Gramsci scholar. There I am doing that. But and I think that it's time for change. It's time for new blood. It's time to take a risk on people who will inject new energy into the city, new ideas into the city. And I ranked Zohran in the primary. I voted for him in the general because I want someone of integrity to lead the city. I want someone who excites people in the city to lead the city. And we just don't need to keep settling for the same thing over and over and over again. And that's what
on your counter, by the way.
I always my cats, I'll put it that way. My cats love Tim. But But I think that Zohran infused a lot of integrity and energy into this race, and his tone, I think I said this to Katie earlier, it was different from Bernie Sanders or AOC. He went on Fox News, he went on the Bulwark, not exactly known as being friendly to DSA people, and he talked with Derek Thompson from the abundance movement about policies, and I think is offering a bigger tent view of his views than a lot of his colleagues or compatriots or whatever you want to call them in the DSA are doing. And that's why people like me felt sort of comfortable voting for him. And certainly in the general, after he said that he was going to extend the offer to Jessica Tisch to stay on as NYPD commissioner, that was, I think a lot of people like me breathed a big sigh of relief.
Yeah. All right, Katie, what is Zohran? We'll be listening for him later. I'm interested. I'll be interested to see how he kind of defines his win and speaks about it. But I'm wondering, you have more of a you have a normie audience. You have regulars. I'm sure you have some DSA people in there too. But there's just a lot of his excitement was broad and beyond that. And everyone tries to get a piece at when there's what is the line? Victory has 1,000 fathers. Everybody is like talks their own book on this. Like he won because he talked affordability. He won because he was happy. He won because he was good at social media. He won because he was a socialist. He won because he was out there front on the Gaza crisis. Well, what's your sense for what was the reason why he animated people and won so handily tonight? I mean, 3 minutes after the polls closed.
3 minutes.
I mean, I think that it's all of those things, Tim, but I think he so energized so many New Yorkers, particularly young New Yorkers. My daughter is 29. She lived in Brooklyn. She just moved to Charlottesville, where she's getting her PhD in history. Not sure what she's going to do with that. She wants to be a public intellectual. I'm like, go for it.
Okay.
But she and her friends, my daughter's quite progressive. We're so excited about Zohran, and from the get-go, I think she went to his first fundraiser. And I think that he represents a new way of doing business. I think he represents a departure from these kind of, the Andrew Cuomo's of the world and the Curtis Lewas who've been around forever. I mean, I think he, if he had a stronger opponent, I think we might be having a different conversation tonight. But there's just no question he was exciting. And to Liz's point, was new and fresh. I think he was brilliant at using social media. And I don't understand why more Democrats, I know they're trying. Chris Murphy's really trying. Mark Kelly's trying. A lot of Democrats are trying. I think Pete has, for a long time done well, but Pete could loosen up a little bit on social media. I think there was just so much. He is so.
Chasten could tighten up a little bit. Pete could loosen up. Meet in the middle.
But you know what I mean? Like Pete could feel, I think Zohran had this gift of always feeling very spontaneous and just being warm and open. I don't know if you saw the SNL spoof about him smiling after everything he said. And I thought about it, and he did, but it seemed genuine and warm and his candidacy and his campaign felt expansive and welcoming. I know, I live on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. He did not do well there. For a lot of reasons, for taxes and for, I think, a lot of my Jewish friends, as I said to Liz before, were really uncomfortable with some of his language, what he put on social media on October 8th. His lack of outreach, what they interpreted as a lack of outreach and compassion following October 7th. But and then I obviously have a lot of Jewish friends who did vote for him. So I think he represents a new generation of leaders, and I think people are starving for that because it's just not working, and they want to give somebody new and fresh a chance. I mean, the same reason I think they elected John F. Kennedy. He was the future, and the Democratic Party is so friggin' old and tired, and people are just sick of them. And so I think even people who might have felt ambivalent were like, we want to give this guy a chance.
Right. And
Cuomo,
so much of politics, right, is how you make people feel about themselves and their vote, right? And you saw that with Barack Obama in 2008, where a lot of people took a flyer on him. You know, Indiana went for Barack Obama in 2008 by 1 point. Now I think in 2024 it went for Trump by 21 points. But people are willing to take a flyer on people who seem to be reaching out in good faith and make them sort of feel good about politics again. And I think that's what Zohran Mamdani brought to the process here. Was he wasn't scolding, he wasn't attacking people. He was saying, "I just want to make your life more affordable." And
that, but also, Liz, don't you think he did what so many Democrats, I think, have failed to do, or at least done it as well, is that he presented a real vision. You know, whether he's going to be able to make good on some of these promises, I think remains to be seen. But at least he had very specific goals that he ran on. And I think it wasn't because it wasn't all anti-establishment necessarily. Right. It was something he was for, not what he was against.
100%.
All right, ladies, we got to get to the next level. I love you. Thank you so much for coming. Just for a little laugh before we leave, I went to look it up since Katie said that Zohran hasn't done that well on the Upper East Side. So the results are still coming in. But right now, Cuomo's plus 33 on the Upper East Side. Mamdani is plus 82 in Bushwick, though. Can somebody find the Cuomo voter in Bushwick? Anyway, everybody, I appreciate you all for coming on. Liz Smith, an old friend, Katie Couric, a new friend. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking to both of you soon. We got JVL and